Well, today I've got a maintenance project to do on our camper van. It's freezing cold outside, but the good news is we're going to get ready to get away from this snow for a little bit and head south to Florida. But before I do that, there's a maintenance task I have to do on the van. We have had a problem charging our house batteries when we drive. I'll explain a little bit later, but there's 3 ways that the battery is charged, and I need to replace this. This is a solenoid that allows the alternator to charge both the chassis battery and the house batteries. And to do it, I got to go underneath here because that's where this little thing fits. Whoops, that didn't go as planned. Well, you can see this one didn't work out just perfect for me. So this is definitely not a how-to video. This is a how Dale did it, and I made some mistakes, but I learned some things along the way, and in the end it came out all right. Certainly if you're doing any repair to your motorhome, check your owner's manual, consult with an expert, make sure that you know what you're doing when you go. I didn't quite know everything that I was doing. But come with me and I'll show you what I learned, how I went about it. Well, to demonstrate this next part, we have opened the door of the nice heated garage, so I want to be kind of quick. I don't want to let all the heat out. But I wanted to show you how I know that I'm not getting the charge from the alternator to my house batteries. So right now, the engine isn't running, and I'm just going to show you our battery status indicator. Hopefully this shows up well on the camera. This is the Winnebago One Place display, and you can see right now the chassis battery is at 12.4 and the house batteries are at 12.2. I'm going to have Jeannine go ahead and start up the car now. There you go. Okay, you got it. Took a little while to come up.
Took a little bit. It's cold.
It is cold. We'll let the car rev just a little bit. And what we should start to see in a few moments, oh, it's happened already. On the battery levels now, hopefully you can see this without the glare. It shows the chassis battery is charging at 14.6, but there's been no real big change to the house batteries. They're at 12.3. The reason that the charge went up on the chassis battery is because the alternator is now charging the chassis battery. But unfortunately, it's not charging the house batteries, and that's why I need to replace this solenoid. One of the steps that I'm going to do to make sure that as I replace this solenoid, I've shut off all the power sources that I can. Because the van is inside right now, there's no solar power coming through the solar panel. And I can check that here on this instrument gauge that shows me my solar status. And it's showing right now the Zamp Solar that it's not charging. Makes sense? It's inside a shop. There's no solar power coming to the panel. The next area that I have to shut off is the main battery disconnect switch so that the 12-volt house batteries aren't connected or are shut off. This was my big mistake and the big lesson I learned. The battery disconnect switch shuts off all of the internal lights and appliances from access to the house battery. However, the house battery is still connected to the charging systems. So to help this make sense, let's talk a little bit about how your house batteries are charged. The first option is if you have a solar panel from solar power. The second and most common one is called shore power. This is where you've plugged your RV into a 30 or 50 amp circuit. The third option is if your RV is equipped with a generator, that can provide power. And then the fourth option is the power that comes from the chassis engine of your motorhome through the alternator. And that's what I was trying to fix. So what I'm going to do right now is turn off the battery connect switch, and hopefully these big lights will go off. So that shows me now I've cut off all the power to the house battery. Again, just to belabor the point, I really hadn't cut off all the power. Alright, well in order to get at the solenoid I need to take off the passenger seat. Now part of the motorhome conversion on this Class B van that Winnebago did was they put in a swivel seat here on top of this Ford factory seat. And so it should be straightforward. I believe there's only 4 main bolts that I'm going to need to disconnect. I've got a 3/16 hex bolt. So come in and take a look here and I'll show you the bolts I'm going after. If we swivel the seat out of the way, you can see there's these 4 bolts on this swivel platform that connect the seat in. I got my 4 bolts out, can't find a cup, so I'm going to use my Nike hat to keep track of where those bolts are. I'll put them here for now. One of the things that I'm going to do is lay a blanket down on the floor of the van so that when I lift this chair out and set it down there, I don't want to scrape up any of the flooring in the van. This is that clip that connects the seat to all the sensors and warnings, so I'm just going to disconnect this clip. All right, everything's loosened and I've disconnected the connection, so hopefully this should just sit right back here with me. There we go, that wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. So now the seat's off and we can get underneath and take a look at what we've got to work with. Okay, so now this is the cover that protects all this electronics from the seat. And I already found 26 cents earlier, so I'm kind of glad about that. It looks like the only thing we've got here is the Annapolis Royal Historic Gardens. That's a video to come soon. So here is the existing solenoid, and this is the piece of equipment that we're going to change. So what I'm going to do is take a few pictures with my phone, just so that I've got the exact right way that this is set up right now, so that when I reconnect it, everything will be just the same. Up until now, everything was going according to plan, but pretty soon, I realized I'd made a mistake. Here's one more look. All right, well, to be doubly sure, because when I started touching things, I felt some jolt, so I got to make sure I disconnected the chassis battery as well. I know the house battery disconnect has been turned off. The solar isn't providing any power. I need to make sure that the house battery is, the chassis battery is disconnected. So in a Ford Transit, the chassis battery is under the driver's seat. So now we're going to get that. All right, here's the chassis battery for the Ford Transit. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it, the negative connection, so that the battery isn't hot before we do the work with the solenoid. So with the Ford chassis battery disconnected, I go back to work on the solenoid, only I still haven't really learned the big lesson here. The house batteries are still hot. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. Well, I finally realized at this point that the house batteries were indeed not disconnected. In my particular motorhome, the house batteries are located underneath the van. Well, hello. I'm underneath the van now, and you can see here, these are the house batteries. Hopefully they show up on the camera here. These are the house batteries, one of them. This is the one that's on the driver's side, and right across from me there's another one on the passenger side. So I'm going to disconnect those so that I can be safe when I'm doing this work with the solenoid. Over here on the passenger side of the van, and now we're going to disconnect the house battery on the passenger side. Trying to get a little bit smarter this time. I've disconnected the house batteries, and I'm going to check with my multimeter to try to make sure I got no current flowing here that I'm not expecting. Okay, the old guy is out. Now if we take a little look, you can see from my my fireworks the other night, I left a little mark. Fortunately the mark was on a bolt and not me, so I'm hoping that's okay, but I was pleased that I could thread that one out. I was a little bit worried that I might have fried the head. So that picture that I took yesterday is important, because now I want to make sure I put the cables back in the exact same way on the new solenoid. All right, you will notice the very professional use of rubber oven mitts to kind of isolate cords. Don't know if that's a necessary step, but just an extra precaution I'm taking since I kind of lit the world up the other day. All right, here is the brand new guy. Put him in here, and we've got to connect this guy with this bolt. Up, this is the seat attachment for the seatbelt warning and chime, so that will hook up when we put the seat back on. So I think this looks like it's supposed to look. Everything is solid. So what we're going to do now is hook back up the chassis batteries, and then we'll hook back up the house batteries underneath. So the chassis battery over there underneath the driver's seat, and the chassis batteries underneath the van. And then I'm saying chassis and house wrong. We're going to hook them both up, house and chassis, and then we'll see if we get a difference with the alternator. Hopefully what we should see is the house batteries now receiving a charge when the alternator's running along with the Ford chassis battery. Well, I was a little optimistic. I hit another problem. So now for the rest of the story. Well, this is where my home repair ended. I ended up having to go to Camping World. A couple different issues that I hit. The old batteries, we knew they were close to being expired. It turned out they needed to be replaced. They were over 6 years old. But also part of the problem is when I was tightening them back up, I broke the post off the negative end of one of those batteries. So I ended up here with two brand new AGM batteries. The other thing they found, I think the action that we did caused a fault with the ground wire. So they had to fix a broken ground wire. So I did fix the problem I set out to solve. I might have caused a few other ones. But either way, we're ready to go camping. The new solenoid is working, and the alternator is now charging both the house and the chassis batteries. We headed off to Florida. Stay tuned for more updates on the forward journey.